Hi guys, hi Akhil, hi Arun, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Remus, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
I've been
Great.
waiting for this catch up, for this virtual catch up, Remus. I hear you have lots of stories to share.
Yeah, I mean there are loads of stories to share. Some which we can share in this forum, and some we'll need to share over a beer or two later. But yeah, we can get started and warmed up with what I can share and what some fun stuff that I've done or encountered over the years in the field of cricket.
One thing I should add here before we start is there are cricket fans and sports fans across the sphere. It's not just people like me and Akilo working on who are hardcore passionate fans, but there are people working in different industries, doing different things in life who still enjoy and who are passionate about sports and sportsmen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, one of the reasons I'm in this career is because they say, right, if you're doing something you love, you can do it free for the rest of your life, and you'll always find a way to make money out of that. So this is something, just being around sports, being and it's not just cricket, right? It's sports in general. It's something I love, right? Played a decent amount amateur, and get to be in touch with football, cricket, and other sports right now. So I love doing that, and hopefully can continue doing this for as long as I can.
And you can keep talking sport as well.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think you get the kind of drama, the kind of entertainment you will get from a dressing room or from a sports, on the field uh, during practice sessions or training sessions, or even sometimes from a shoot. You don't get that anywhere else, right? It's just there are so many different characters that come together, and you're bound to get entertainment. It's like a reality show without a script, and it's exactly that's what happens, right? Whether it's at a tournament, whether it's at training that we've done, so at Nike when we've been part of shoots or gone for training, or even like getting feedback from players on product, right? And something or the other happens which kind of gets stuck with you, and then becomes an anecdote, so to say, at some point in time. And usually it's not us who make, there are the characters who will give you these opportunities to make sure you have stories to tell later.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is exactly what we also desire, Remus, because the experience that you have now built over the last 15 odd years in the sports business is very unique. You're not just somebody who's done one aspect of sales, or you've not just done one aspect of product. You've done the entire gamut and done lot in football also. So yes, I before I don't I'm not going to talk much about the business angle today. But if you can just start off and give us maybe your favorite cricketing memory in all the work that you've done. You've worked with the ICC, you worked with Nike, you've done so much work on the brand side now. So maybe one favorite cricketing memory that you have maybe experienced in the last, say, 14, 15 years.
uh, Quite a few memories. Obviously, I was April 2nd, I was at Wanker Day. I got that, we were there on the ground. We were the whole
Wow.
singing of Vande Mataram, where your hair stood up. That was there. Seeing the six. Those are the memories that stick. But my first cricket tournament was the 2007 T20 in South Africa, where I was working, right, where we were. And it was also where India came in with this whole new team, new squad, right? MS was captain, and quite a few young players like Rohit and Robin, etc., the Pathan brothers, and they had left the seniors behind. And so there was a bit of buzz. I think there was a little more casualness also because they were a younger bunch, right? So the players themselves were more open and free at that time. I think also the start of what happened from there on, which took the team to the next level. Um, the T20 game against Pakistan, the league game,
Yeah,
was the first time that there was a bowl out ever,
bowl
Ball
out.
out.
Yeah,
and I happened to be managing that venue. So it was Durban,
nice.
and again, Durban is like a mini Bombay if you look at it some perspective. Like so many Indians, and the food, everything is the same or similar rather. And the bowl out happened. We started the bowlout. I think Mike Proctor, if I'm not mistaken, was the match ref.
Ref.
Yeah, and so Mike comes down and he's like, okay, we have to have a bowl out. So like, okay, so let's do what we have to do. And then Deepak Gupta was the producer or director at the game, producer I think at the game. So there's Deepak, there's myself, there's Chris Tetley, who is the head of events at
I,
ICC.
ICC. Yep.
So we're all there, and we're actually at that point in time deciding who stands where do the two teams stand. Should it be like a penalty shootout where they are holding, on the half line? So where do they stand? Okay, 25-yard circle. Things like that were actually being discussed before the bowl out, right? And then MS was, guys, should I go behind the stumps? So we're like, no, we'll get what you know. So he was like, no, no, I'll go. So we're like, no, because in our heads, right, we're thinking, ball jayega wahan se. If it misses, somebody will have to get the ball and come, right? So we'll put a volunteer there. He's like, no, no, I'll go there. In retrospect, that was actually, he wanted to be there to make sure that the guys bowled the line that he wanted, right? And that worked
Nice.
very well. So in terms of the memory, that still sticks because while the big things happened, right, that was the first time something happened. And I was part of it. The first bowl out that happened where India won 3-0 in cricket, that kind of a thing. So
Nice.
I'm going to jump in here and request you to book your ticket to the UAE next month because you are the person who's been in both the events when India have won. So, on behalf of all the crore of Indian fans, Indian cricket fans, please book your ticket and head to the UAE during the World Cup.
let's see. Hopefully that happens, man. Let's hope that happens and travel eases out for us. So yeah, but yeah.
Okay, lovely. That's a really nice, warm story. But tell me, Remus, like in the interaction you mentioned MS now, but when you started out, was it intimidating to first talk to these cricketers? Maybe your first signing at Nike that you did when you first interacted with the Indian team or somebody, one of the big players. Then, how was it? How was it like? Do you have any distinct memory, like where maybe you were in awe of a certain player, and was it intimidating?
So growing up, I never played cricket. Right, I went to a Jesuit school in Pune, St. Vincent's High School, and we had priests from Austria and Germany there. So we had one of the best football fields, hockey fields in
Wow.
probably the country. So they never wanted to cut that square in the middle to roll a pitch. So I played football, hockey, and then cricket season. Hockey is like October onwards, and then December, Jan, we used to play softball, which was done on the corner of the pitch. So I never cricket. Played cricket in the sense like gully cricket matches, this, that, all of that. So technically, I say my debut happened at Sharjah Cricket Stadium with Dave Richardson, who was on the opposite side. Then I was at the ICC. So because of that, right, and cricket, I like sport, I love sport, but I was not in awe or had that whole, celeb mentality.
No
And
Fascinating.
heroes.
yeah, no heroes. And growing up, also, sorry, in my career, early in my career, I was in PR. So because of that, we interacted with a lot of celebs. We've done the company that I worked for used to manage IFA. We did a lot of the concerts for DNA networks and all of that. So we very early in my career, I met a lot of these guys. So that kind of initial excitement died off. And the first couple of guys who I met because of this was Rahul Dravid because he used to do Pepsi and we used to manage Pepsi. So I met him and Shane Warne because of Foster's, etc. Shane Warne, Jason Gillespie. So it was very casual. So I realized that okay, if you're like a little casual, they also the cricketers themselves, they respect you and have a more open conversation than when you look at them as celebrity and start giving them that awe treatment.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And then with the ICC again, as I mentioned, right, when you're working, right, and Dave Richardson used to head, he was GM Cricket Ops at that time, and we had and my line manager at the when I joined ICC was a cricketer called Errol Stewart. So I'm sure Arun probably rings a bell with Errol. So Errol played for South Africa a few ODIs. He was supposed to cut in and make his Test debut, but then cut his webbing. And Daryl, who was Shane's bunny at that time, played again and scored a century. And basically, Errol's career kind of didn't take off after that. But he was a wicketkeeper batsman, so always had Dave Richardson in front. So we had guys like Errol, Dave, and then a lot of the match referees, etc., would come in, and Javagal and Roshan Mahanama and all that. So that interaction with cricketers became a little casual and not, and work like, business like, and we'd probably end up going for a beer with them when they came down in any case. So it wasn't that daunting. And therefore, when I joined Nike also, I'd already met a lot of them earlier, right? So whether it was MS, Raj, Virat did under 18s with me. So the
Yeah.
2000 under 18 tournament in Malaysia was tournament that I ran, and
The under 19s.
sorry, under 19s in 2018. My bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Virat, Jaddu, all of them were in that team, right? Manish Pandey, all of them. So those interactions had happened. So therefore, negotiating, talking to them, etc., was not such a daunting task. But yeah, when you meet somebody like Sachin, no matter where you meet him, elevator or whatever, that respect is there. That he has that aura around him. No matter whether you speak to him in Marathi or English, he's got that aura around him. So there are a few sports persons like that for me at least, and maybe that's just me because of how I look at them and what they've done, for sports. So Alex Ferguson, who I bumped very briefly at when I've gone to United for some meetings. Sachin is one such person. Uh, Other people who I've not met but I think would have a similar impact would have been probably Michael Jordan, Ali, Federer, those kind of guys.
Right up the top, Achilles of
Right off the
sport.
top, yeah, because that, as you say, goats, right? So they are in that level. And probably MS, if I had not met him earlier enough, So
Nice.
MS will actually make you feel at home. MS, no matter who you are, will stand, have a chat with you. If you're trying to speak to him, he'll kind of break the ice, as they say. He'll come and speak to you.
yeah,
He'll say, "What are you doing? What are you up to? How did you enjoy the match? Things like that."
yeah, he's very, as you said, he makes you feel warm, makes you feel at home, and he takes that extra effort as well, right? From a human perspective.
I remember the first time I met him. Well, I'd worked earlier, but I'd covered games earlier. The first time I met him, when he was an Indian cricketer.
Hmm.
Now, much like you've been the lucky mascot for the Indian team. There was a time when I was traveling around the Indian team. India kept winning. So in Chennai, I vividly remember I was walking past him and I said, "MS, आप जहां भी जा रहे हो मैं वहीं पे आ रहा हूँ और इंडिया मैच जीत रहा है." तो he actually looked back and said, "तो आ जाना मेरे साथ." So it was like it just made you feel good. He probably didn't mean it seriously, but for the Indian captain, I think 2008, if I remember correctly, Chennai, I think it was, for him to say "आ जाना मेरे साथ," just
Yeah,
made you feel good.
yeah. I mean, loads of small instances like that with MS that show you his natural human side, like normal side, in that sense. So, uh, thinking. So the first time I met him, and you mentioned right, first time meeting MS was at the Indian team came late for this 2007 tournament, right? So their press conference, etc., was being managed later. Now, though I looked after commercial and sponsorship, etc., I think extra hands were needed because of this late press conference. So I was called in just to manage a few things there. And MS, we had our ICC t-shirts on, and I was like, I introduced myself, and then he asked me, "So you've been for the practice matches?" So I said, I saw a couple of the practice matches, the Australia one and this and that, because India had not played any practice matches at the T20 World Cup. So what are the teams doing? So I explained like first 5 overs में ऐसे कर रहे हैं, फिर ऐसे कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो हम लोग को भी ऐसे करने का. I said, you're asking me really, like, do you ask me if I play cricket, if I know cricket? You see them now, you at least give us an idea. I was like, okay. And from there on, we just took it, right? So whenever we meet, etc. I remember mom also wanted MS's autograph only on one jersey. So I got it. I said, this is for my mom. So he actually took the effort. What auntie's name? Asked auntie's name, took the name. Said, should I speak to her? I said, okay, let me speak to her. And I was like, okay. That kind of stuff.
Nice. Awesome. So, yeah, this is, I mean, one aspect, Remus, I wanted to take your thoughts also, and I've had numerous chats with Arun offline also on this, is you've seen how T20 cricket has evolved, okay, as a first from the admin point of view in the ICC, and then later from a brand point of view, he was heavily invested into the business of cricket. And now you are again into a category where you are using cricket or using sport to expand the business there. So, how do you see this evolving of T20 cricket in international format, the IPL which is evolved? Uh, how big a pie now is IPL going to consist going ahead? Will that become, or has it already become the crux of the entire cricketing world, or the ICC still thinks that the T20 World Cup is going to hold the biggest one?
So it's like this, right? The nation versus nation is very difficult to to beat club at some level, because these superstars become superstars because of nation. You know, even if you compare to football, right? The biggest athletes in the world who haven't won the World Cup are not considered, or a global or a national tournament, national team tournament, aren't considered great enough because they haven't won a national team tournament. So it's what you do for your country, that defines how big a superstar you are. And then when you play in the domestic league, obviously it escalates it. So I think that's going to just go. Also, the global appeal of a ICC event. So an IPL event is the global appeal of an IPL event is to the Indians abroad
Hmm.
and to the hardcore cricketers, right, or cricket fans rather. But a global event. So when Netherlands is winning in cricket, the entire country will rile behind the
Root
team
for
because
them. Yeah.
Netherlands is winning no matter how. So when they beat England, there was a whole the in the 2009 I think T20, there was a lot of euphoria in the Netherlands around that. And that's never going to change, right? See, look at the US as well, right? They want to make sure that the country team does well to boost the local league up, and that's why they're looking at getting in these stars from or cricketers from other countries to play there. So nation versus nation for me in my book is always going to be higher than a domestic league. Having said that, IPL
Hmm.
needs to also expand, right? So there are enough examples in sport where a domestic league is the pinnacle of that sport. The NBA, for example.
NBA. Yeah.
Now, but the NBA has done enough to make sure that it is, expanding its reach, going global, even coming to India, things like that. And they're not doing it from a brand perspective. They're like, I think it's simple enough or easy enough to understand it. For sport has to grow, enough people have to be playing it,
Hmm.
right? Cricket is popular here because people play the sport also, right? It's not just watching it. Football is getting that way. Hockey used to be that way because we used to all play hockey,
Yeah.
right? Now we don't like. I don't think in the last 10, 15 years I've seen any kids down in the colonies, etc., get out the hockey sticks and play. But it used to be popular. So NBA
Gone
is
with
doing.
our generation.
Yeah, exactly. I think probably we were the last guys to do that. NBA is doing that. NBA is making sure that basketball gets popular across the world. And through that whole system, they are looking at getting a couple of guys to play in their leagues, right? In the D League or in the NBA proper. And from that, they'll build the popularity of the NBA in other countries. And if you look at the recent Olympics as well, there were so many countries who had NBA stars playing for them, like in top five,
Hmm.
six stars, etc. So suddenly the level of basketball has gone up and the popularity of the NBA has gone up, right? I mean, look at what IPL is in comparison to NBA in terms of just money. It's Zamin Asman ka farak in that sense. If we have to grow, if IPL has to grow, they have to start looking at making the IPL a global property in the truest sense. Get people to play cricket abroad, and that's when we.
I'm what I'm reading about, what I've read in the last couple of days is obviously the two new teams that will be added next year. But I think there was one reporter who wrote about IPL wanting to have a winter edition in the US as well, and that might not be too far. So a winter season of the IPL, much like what's happening this year in September, October, we might have something penned down or penciled down or scheduled every year in the calendar, which
Yeah,
will be absolutely great.
it will be good, definitely. And I would look at it from a perspective of let's do a winter tour, right? Like what the preseason tours that the Premier
The
League team
English,
team do. That's what
yeah,
we should be doing, right? And build it up from that perspective, and make sure people play. Sports watching countries will only get to a certain point because you're watching. Sports playing
yeah.
countries do, that much more better, both from performance as well as business perspective.
We've got the major league and the minor league cricket competitions happening in the US. So you never know. One day you could have an IPL side taking on those sides, winners of those championships as a preseason warm up.
Yeah. And that should be
No,
the aim. That should be the aim, I think, where we're getting. And from a globalization perspective, if we have to be global, you have to win China, you have to win US. So for the other guys, they have to win India as well. We need to win.
I know. Yeah.
no, lovely. This is fascinating in terms of hearing the insights, because you've seen how the ICC is also planning. I'm sure they are doing enough initiatives for development of cricket in multiple countries.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is something like all of us are passionate about. Even the cricketers, like the cricketers that we know, Remus, they are all wanting the sport to grow internationally also. So it will be nice if some kind of long-term initiatives like that can get some association with sponsors, and it can be like a global program to keep nurturing young talent. So it's fascinating to hear your viewpoint on that. Uh, I wanted to also hear your viewpoint. Now you're working with a brand where you're using a cricketer to sell. I'm sell is a wrong word maybe, but do marketing for the brand. And Arun and me were having this conversation about how much impact maybe having somebody like a Sachin Tendulkar on as a brand ambassador, how much impact Remus does it make for the brand in terms of sales and in terms of equity? Uh, how many years, for example, is a good enough period to judge how much impact a brand ambassador gets? If you can give us just a gist about that.
So Sachin is a cricketer, or used to be a cricketer, but he's much more than that, right? So he's for Indians, he's God in many sense, in many sense of the word, and he goes way beyond that cricket conversation for us. So he's more about sports, and he can drive that whole conversation. Now, Apollo as a brand, we are more global than any of the Indian tire manufacturers in the sense, right?
Yeah.
So we've got big business interests in Europe, US. We have another brand in Europe as well. Our growth in South Asia. So because of that, we've had football as our one sport that we kind of use to drive our marketing objectives, and we partnered with Man United there, Indian Super League, Chennai NFC, and we use football because of the global conversation that we can have. Having said that, a big chunk of our business is still in India, right? And to connect with our Indian audiences, both dealers as well as consumers, you need to talk in a language that they understand. And therefore, Sachin makes sense because he can transcend the sports conversation. So we don't necessarily have to talk cricket. We talk sports, and therefore, can talk about football and development and why it's important to give access to sport. Doesn't matter which sport you're playing, but you need to give access to sport. Why you need to have people playing sport and not just watching sport. Those are conversations that two or three people can have within the country, and one of them is Sachin, and with some authority and credibility. So therefore, Sachin makes sense. He gives a lot of credibility to us, not only because of his stature in terms of a person, a personality, but he is, unlike a lot of the cricketers or other sports persons I've met, he knows the product. And he knows,
Loves the yeah.
because he loves driving, as an extension of that, he knows how important tires are. So he will definitely, talk when he talks about traction, when he talks about handling, when he talks about, speed, durability. He knows the technicalities of it, and he actually knows how to build a tire, or what goes into building a tire. Once he knows how to build a tire, but goes into building a tire. So that works for us, right? So when I put Sachin into an F3 car on a track in Prague, he drives. He's not driving at 70 or 60. He's full throttle. When I put Sachin into a buggy to do off-roading, he does that. He actually goes for drives in any case over the weekend, and all we all know that he goes out and things like that. So he kind of fits in with our brand ethos a lot, and that makes sense.
Nice, nice, superb. This is a great perspective, isn't it, Arun? Like in the business, we were talking about how much having a celebrity, and even say after 7 to 8 years after his retirement, the kind of respect that Sachin Tendulkar has and how he connects with the brand world, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It is. We spoke about this the other day, just a couple of days ago, I think, about how are cricketers actually able to influence buyers to make a decision. With Sachin, it's probably not the decision to buy, which I don't know if that's the right intent. You're looking at a bigger picture, aren't you, Remus?
Yeah. So see again with the category, right? It's not an FMCG good like a Coke or a
Yeah,
Pepsi where you're buying one every day or every week.
regularly. Yeah,
Our purchases once in 3 years, and for most consumers, what we like to say it's a grudge purchase, right? If I wasn't in the tire industry and neither do you guys, you all will not buy a tire till you'll absolutely desperately need to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Unless
you're
you have a
pushing
choice. Yeah,
to purchase that. And then the grudge purchase when you go in, it's a black piece of rubber, which is so important. But people are like, yeah, I'm paying, for a mid-sized sedan kind of car, 4 tires, 20 grand, and there's no show-off value, brag value to it. Right? Somebody puts a
No.
spoiler for
good
eight, ten
point.
thousand,
Yeah,
spoiler that kind of a thing. यहाँ पे it's essential to the car. It's probably one of the most important accessories to the car because it's what actually ensures the car drives on the road effectively. Without that, you can't. So it's important to have that credibility when somebody's talking to you. It's not frivolous. When somebody's talking to you, know that if he's saying something, yes, obviously it's part of a marketing campaign, but he actually knows because he loves it. And then if I want to drive sales eventually through my dealers, right, was the gratification and incentivization to meet Sachin, nothing comes close to it, right?
yeah,
So that really helps us and works for us. And just to slightly add to that point, right, when we talk about somebody like Sachin, right, he's so brand loyal in that sense of I have seen many cricketers or sports persons in the past who would be like, especially for my Nike days, right? Because you're wearing white sports shoes, why are you wearing Gucci's? I'm giving you AF ones which are customized to you for you. Why are you wearing Gucci's? Responses, but भैया शूट के लिए तो पहना था. क्योंकि मैं Hyundai का एडवर्टाइजिंग करता हूँ. Hyundai थोड़ी ना चलाता हूँ मैं, Audi चलाता हूँ. You know, and I'm like, boss, that's not how it works, right? So, and here with
no, you're right.
like I know even with Adidas, Sachin used to like make sure that he would sticker the bat himself, make sure he at any given point of time. If you go back and you look at him wearing casual, right, through his career, sneakers, whatever, it's mostly 99%. I would say he's on ID, and I know he had a very good relationship with Nike as such because prior to me was Jatin and he have like really good buddies.
Teammates. Yeah,
Yeah,
teammates and yeah, buddies. Yeah.
buddies there. They were good friends, and yet
Yeah.
he would never ever sway away from that conversation. I mean, or it was always ID, and he was all there. And same with Apollo, right? He's going out. He's called us a couple of times. Listen, I'm going out. We're going to family trip. We're going to Tadoba and this and that. They are doing these vehicles, but these vehicles, I'm not sure what fittings they have. This is the sizes. There might be some photographers there, or we might be doing some family shoots or family photos, and it might get uploaded. So it's like this is what is happening. Can we, I'm letting you guys know, and it's a very different product. Like it's not just like okay, Sue and this and that. The tire actually has to be available for that kind of vehicle. But that's his foresight in terms of looking at things.
Awareness. Absolutely
Available.
aware.
Absolutely fantastic. So, I think we've run out of time now because we can keep this
Before we wrap, I
conversation.
want to ask Remus one last thing before we wrap.
Yeah, yeah,
And this is
sure.
all because of what's happened in the last 15 days or so. You guys are involved with MU in a big way, and a certain number seven, a certain players wearing a certain number 7 now. So the next time we catch up, hopefully, an autograph of Mr. Seven or, a jersey with the number 7 on the back.
Or at
I'm
least a
waiting,
story
I'm,
meeting him.
I'm waiting for a story and a jersey. So if something happens, I'll definitely let you know. But yeah, I mean, we've seen the traction thing. I haven't got as many ticket requests for a Man United game as much as I got for his debut game, the Newcastle game. It was like back in when we were at ICC and there's an India game and people asking for tickets. That kind of response.
I'm not surprised at all.
I'm sure if the test wasn't supposed to be starting on that day and the guys were in Manchester, I would have got
The
some of the
players
guys
would have
asking
all called. Yeah.
wanted as well. I know Virat has like from my Nike days. Virat has always wanted to meet CR7. So, and I know Jatin when he went to Europe, he was pretty much doing Western Europe football. So there was that conversation that was always there. It didn't happen because then Mr. Kohli went to Adidas, etc. But I know that and I saw some rumors about them probably meeting, but I guess if the test had gone ahead, probably they would have met.
So CR7 next time.
CR7 next time, for sure.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for taking your time, Remus. Like you've
Yes,
seen, we are absolute sports nuts here, and we love having guests who can give us these small nuggets of stories. We are cricket fans, we talk a lot of cricket and we discuss a lot of cricket numbers when the league will now start. But at heart, we are cricket fans. We are storytellers. We want to communicate with cricket fans like us who are all consuming the sport regularly. So that's the intent and absolute pleasure. Thank you so much again for taking out time. We
my
will
pleasure,
definitely try and have you back again sometime as we start warming up for the T20 league going ahead.
for
Thank you
sure.
so much.
Thank you so much,
More
guys.
online stories and offline stories as well.
Yeah, the ones which we won't publish, for sure.
No, absolutely. Thanks so much, Remus. This
Cheers.
was enjoyable.
Take care.